If I were to do research on the reality show Gold Rush, I, like the guys on the show, would want to know, how do I find more gold? Gold Rush is a show about a couple different teams and their mining operations. It's a production-oriented business. All of the different operations have the same product, gold, but how they get it varies. So, since how do I find more gold is a pretty broad question, I'm going to reduce the ambiguity and ask more specific questions. Inductive reasoning and basic research tells me that if I'm finding gold, I'm being profitable. And deductive reasoning and basic research tells me that if I'm being profitable, I'm being productive. So my decision statement, or the key question that I want to answer in this applied research situation, is, how do I ensure productivity? Now I need to turn that statement into an actionable research objective. I know the deliverable of my research needs to reduce uncertainty and risk. So where in the process of mining gold is there uncertainty and risk? There's uncertainty in the organization. How experienced is the crew? How old or new is the equipment? There's risk in the location. Will there or won't there be gold? And there's risk and uncertainty in the availability of resources, the competition, and the demand. But which of those factors affect productivity? So my research objective would be to identify what factors influence productivity. Then from there, my research question would be, which factors that are capable of influencing productivity are capable of improving it? From that question, I have a few hypotheses that will either be supported or not by my research. I could hypothesize about productivity that the more experience a crew member has, the more gold he will find. The more mechanical training a crew member has will positively relate to a quicker repair time when a piece of machinery breaks. Another is that if a crew drills to test for gold in the soil before setting up their entire operation, they'll be more efficient and yield more product. And lastly, that if there are no spare replenishment parts kept on hand, then productivity will be negatively affected due to failures and the downtime they create. So now I have my decision statement, my research objective, and my hypotheses. I'm ready to map out the other stages of the research process. To design the research, I want to be sure that I've examined any exploratory research that already exists, so I'm not duplicating efforts, wasting time and money. I will need to conduct descriptive research when I'm trying to determine the amount of experience or training a crew member has. I can conduct this through surveys. And I'm looking at causal research when deciding if more spares means shorter repair times and more uptime for the equipment. I can do this through recording observations on the different variables, or designing experiments where, say, one operation has the spares and the other doesn't, and then compare the operational availability. Since my research will primarily be descriptive and causal, my unit of analysis will be data about individuals and organizations. The variables examined will be continuous, such as how many years of experience, mean time between failures, as well as categorical. Was the maintenance done or not? Do you have the spare part on hand or not? These are primarily the dependent variables, meaning if we know the amount of experience or parts data, we can predict uptime or productivity being achieved. There is a targeted population that can be identified, and a probability sample would suffice because there isn't a lot of variation in this skilled population, and the results could benefit all. Next would come the actual data gathering, the surveys, the observations, the experiments. The deadlines and costs would have already been decided up front for completing this phase. Next would be where I edit and code the data gathered, allowing for accurate processing and analysis. Then I would formulate conclusions, essentially were my hypotheses supported, and then be prepared to talk about their implications, such as if the miners on Gold Rush made managerial decisions to implement some of the strategies I examined. Perhaps they hire more experienced workers and invest in spares, then miners on Gold Rush will maintain their productivity, which means finding more gold and increasing profits. Just don't get gold fever, or you'll have another business problem where expected business performance is greater than possible performance levels. In other words, don't let your ambition outdo your knowledge.